Hi guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I am making pork and squash with tofu soup. So you're gonna wanna stay tuned and I'll show you how. Okay, first things first, ingredients. So I have here 5 squash, fish sauce, firm tofu, 1 medium onion, yellow onion, a bunch of garlic, maybe about 20 cloves. They're kind of small in size. Pepper and salt to taste, better than bouillon, chicken, jeez Louise, organic diced tomatoes, 1 can, it is 14.5 ounces, and then pork belly. These are sliced because my butcher actually did them wrong. They were supposed to be like chunks, but they're actually sliced like bacon. So I'm just gonna chop them into good bite-sized pieces and then fry them up. And also this pot is from Costco and I'm absolutely in love with it. It's on the heavier side, so it's a heavy bottom, but it's big and spacious. You can fit a lot in here. And it comes with a, I don't know where I put it. It comes with a beautiful glass cover. It's on sale right now, so go and get it at Costco. I will put the information down below. Okay, let's get cooking. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to cut my squash up. So I like to cut mine about that size and thin. It'll cook a lot faster and then it's easier to eat because it's thin little skinny pieces, but feel free to cut it however you want to. You can cut them into chunky pieces, you can cut them into longer pieces. It's up to you. Just try and keep them consistent in size. So when they cook, they all take the same cooking time. And you don't have like half the pot cooked and the rest not cooked. So if you never made this type of squash before, as I get lower down the neck of the squash, you're gonna find like this whole center is seeds. I don't put this part in. I just take the outside where it's a little more firm, the flesh. It's like that. I just cut that part off. And then I leave the seeds out. I've seen restaurants in Hawaii cut some of the seeds and leave some of the seeds in, which is not an issue. I just prefer not to add them. But remember, when you're cutting these, don't cut too far. Like, you want to cut the least amount of skin as possible, because a lot of the skin, right, like this piece I cut really junk. All this flesh is what I put in my pork and squash, and then this is just gonna go trash. That's the center, right? So it looks like this. I slice them about that thick, and then really I'm just taking off the skin. You can try to peel it if you want. My peeler sucks, so I'd be here all day trying to peel. So I just use a knife, and then you want to cut like minimal amount off. And I will finish cutting all of these and I will be right back. So I decided to take a break from cutting the squash. I did about 2. This is 2 in here, not very much. I'm going to cut the onion, the garlic, and the tomatoes, and I'm gonna get it in the pot because I want it to start breaking down and releasing its flavors and juices, all that good stuff in the pot. So I'm gonna get started on that, and then I'll go back to cutting the squash because that is a long process. If you're doing it the way I'm doing it, it takes a while. So I would suggest putting this on now at this point. And then you can cut the squash while it's like rendering, while it's like cooking down. That's a better word. I like to cut my onions small like this so that they end up falling apart and just ending up to be part of the soup. My mom would say, palahe. You want it to palahe. And that's gonna add so much flavor and depth to the soup. Onions are a good flavor enhancer, and tomatoes, because tomatoes are a umami flavor, or umami. It adds umami. So I'm gonna jack this up to high because it doesn't cook as high as my stove. I have an induction top, so I'm gonna put it on high. I'm gonna add some olive oil in a little bit. And then I'm gonna start cooking the onions and the tomatoes and the garlic. Love this can opener. KitchenAid bomb can opener. Okay, so now that my technical difficulties are over and it's actually plugged in the right plug, I'm gonna put my onions in and I'm gonna let that cook for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna add the tomatoes and the garlic after. So just get that in and continue cutting. The squash is honestly the biggest pain. You're gonna realize that. That's why I don't make this meal too often, because the squash drives me crazy, especially when you can only find small squash like this. I haven't seen a good sized squash in years, and that was back in Hawaii. Okay, so I'll be back. I'm gonna wait till this can heat up a little bit more and start cooking a little more, get a little more hot, because it's not really like doing much. Okay, I'm gonna get the tomatoes in there, organic diced tomatoes. And the garlic's gonna go in a little bit. Okay, so I am adding my garlic, and then I'm gonna give it a little salt and pepper. You don't wanna over salt this dish because I add fish sauce, which is pretty darn salty. I love this pepper grinder. If you guys are looking for a good pepper grinder, this is my favorite. I will link this on the bottom as well. Adding a little bit of salt will help draw out the moisture from the tomato and the onion. It looks about good. So like I was saying, I use this pork side. It's tiny. They cut it wrong on my order. So what I did is I just cut it into 1-inch pieces. It was actually sliced like bacon, raw bacon. And so I just cut it into about 1-inch pieces and putting that right in. Yeah, I think that's good. This has been cooking for about 5-6 minutes. I have it on really high because it is a big pot. So it's pretty much cooked at this point. And I'm gonna call it good because it's still gonna cook as the soup is in there. Adding water because I'm going to add my chicken broth paste in a little bit. So this is about 12 cups of water. And yes, I do make really big meals. We are a house of 2 adults and 2 pretty much teenage kids. And then I also make lunch for my husband and I the next day and breakfast for him. So I do like to make big pots. If it is really big and it's a double recipe, I'll cut it in half and I'll freeze half. So I added the Better Than Bouillon chicken. I added about 12 teaspoons, not tablespoons. So now it's gonna be chicken broth once it starts to cook and not just water. I love this stuff, you guys. I use this for cooking and all kinds of recipes. There's even beef, there's vegetable, there's beef, vegetable, there's like a sauteed onion, chicken, and you can find it at Costco, and this bottle is massive. Before, the bottle was about that big, and now it's a little bit bigger. Once this comes to a boil, I'm gonna add the squash. So this is all the squash here, all 5 squash, barely filling it to the top. And then right before it's done, I'm gonna add the tofu. I'm gonna chop it up and add the tofu in there. You don't wanna add the tofu too early because then it'll fall apart. So at this point, you can kind of gauge your soup. I like to have a lot of soup. Right now it looks okay with the 12 cups, but I'm gonna let the squash cook down. It's gonna take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes for the squash to fully cook through, depending on how high you have it. So I'm just gonna let that cook, cover it, and then I'm gonna add some fish sauce right now. I add about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup. I will go back and taste it though. And here I have my tofu. I'm just kind of trying to squeeze out the water, the liquid from it. I cut the tofu, so I went 5 times this way and then 4 this wall. There's 4 pieces going this way and 5 going this way. They're about that big. But I'm not going to put them in yet. I just wanted to show you guys how big I cut the tofu.
You guys, it is so delicious. So much umami flavor, and those little pieces of pork belly and the fat just melts away in your mouth. It's so good. You guys have to try this recipe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Ahui ho!